Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Today's episode is going to be about MSI's hat in the ring of the Z77 competition that is out there between all of the motherboard manufacturers to figure out who's going to be upgrading to the latest third generation Intel Core i3, i5, and i7 processors, and how to win your business as a motherboard manufacturer, whether it's through build quality, whether it's through ease of use, or whether it's through cool applications and utilities that make your life better. So today's focus is going to be predominantly on MSI's implementation of their graphical UEFI BIOS, as well as Genie 2, which is an upgraded version of their one-button overclocking from their last generation product. Now, it's no secret that ClickBIOS 2 is my favorite UEFI graphical BIOS implementation because it's just so easy to navigate, but it also has the advantage of allowing you to navigate with a mouse and, click on big buttons that point you at whatever it is you want to do. You can go eco mode, standard mode. You can drag around your boot operations, but you can also navigate it with a keyboard if you prefer, which normally when I'm actually working on the thing, I do. So right now I've got Genie enabled, and so I don't really want to change anything. You can see that it has dialed in things like the CPU core voltage as well as the multiplier for the CPU for me rather than allowing me to do it. Now, before we go too much further into this video, I just want to cover some of the basic features that are included with MSI Z77 boards. So that means we've got support for PCI Express Gen 3. They were actually the first to bring a PCIe Gen 3 board to market with their Z68 series of boards. But this one is going to be fully natively supported by the chipset as long as you have a third generation Intel processor, Core Series processor. It also supports Virtue MVP, which is an improved version of Lucid Virtue that doesn't have nearly the same performance hit, allowing you to get the benefit of your dedicated graphics card for gaming, as well as the benefit of using your integrated GPU built into your CPU for video encoding, which can be accelerated by certain other features, such as, say, for example, the 1-second overclocking with Genie 2. So you guys will see more about what kind of performance improvements we can expect to see by using Genie with the dedicated graphics card. So it's NVIDIA SLI ready, AMD Crossfire X ready. It comes with a 3-year warranty and also has a number of other features, including their supercharger feature, which allows you to charge your phone more quickly if you use the appropriate front panel USB connector, as well as their military class component, which means they have DRMOS2, high C caps, solid caps, and super ferrite chokes. The main focus of this video, though, is going to be Genie. So stay tuned and we will show you what kind of results we can get with that. Some other general features that are available on the GD65 board, although there will be slightly different layouts in terms of whichever class of board you decide to go with. So your Genie button as well as your onboard power buttons are actually right up here at the top right of the board. This is, in my opinion, the most ideal location because when you have graphics cards and everything installed down here, it's much more convenient to reach this on an open test bench. I personally find that very, very handy. You've also got a variety of 4-pin PWM fan connectors spread out outside the board. You've also got V checkpoints. So V checkpoints allow you to check with a multimeter a variety of different voltages, including the CPU, CPU VTT, CPU graphics, the DDR, as well as the PCH, and you've got a couple grounds there, so you can check 2 different things at a time. MSI has also implemented their USB 3 front panel header, running off of the Intel chipset, just like the USB 3 ports on the back of the board, in a very intelligent way. So they're using a right angle connector, which means that there's going to be less flex to the cable after you install it, which means less stress on the cable. It has very small pins, and I personally consider that to be very important. We've got 4 SATA 3 6 gigabit per second ports and 2 SATA 2 3 gigabit per second ports. These guys right here are running off the Intel chipset. Those are the ones you're going to focus on because they're going to get the highest performance with an SSD, and they also support Intel SRT technology, which allows you to use an SSD as a cache for a hard drive. This BIOS post LED actually helped us to diagnose an issue where we accidentally bent one of the pins in the socket of the board. and we were able to get it back up and running because using that error code, we were able to diagnose it. And multi-BIOS is another fantastic feature as well. If you accidentally corrupt your BIOS, you can actually just use this switch to a different BIOS and boot to a completely different set of settings or even a different BIOS code entirely. We've got 3 front USB 2 ports, a front FireWire, front panel audio, as well as a variety of different slots. Now, most Z77 boards, and I mean like 99% of them, are only really suitable for two-way SLI or Crossfire. So you can see here that they've actually got a warning sticker due to bandwidth constraints, etc., etc. You don't really want to use this slot for anything very complicated, and only if you have a 3rd generation Intel Core series processor. So we've got mostly PCIe 1X with 2 PCIe 16X Gen 3 slots, which means if you're running PCIe Gen 3 graphics cards, if in SLI or Crossfire, they will both run at 8X, which is equivalent to PCIe Gen 2 at 16X. In terms of the overall aesthetic, I think you guys can probably all agree it looks pretty sharp. You got your military class 3 branding here, your OC Genie 2 branding here, and I think right now all that really remains for you guys to want to see is the results. Using OC Genie is really simple. All you do is turn off the computer. It's on now, so it'll be hard to show you this. Press the OC Genie button, it'll turn red, and then you turn the computer back on. It's not recommended to make any changes in the BIOS once you have OC Genie enabled, but let's see what happens. We're just going to boot straight up to Windows and see how this goes. Now, not only did we get the frequency results that we had hoped for, now this is an improvement over the last generation OC Genie 1 that I've run in the past, we also got a pleasant surprise because not only the CPU was overclocked. The improvement in our 3D Mark score was actually from about 1,800 points to about 2,500 points. So that is about a 30+% improvement. And a lot of that was actually on the graphics score. So the graphics score improved by about 45%. So this is outstanding. You can see here on my test bench that I am not running a dedicated graphics card, so all of the improvement that we're getting in 3D performance is strictly from the integrated GPU. So with 3rd generation Intel Core i7 and i5 processors, we can expect probably, I'm speculating now, although by the time you watch this video, they might already be out and I might not have to say that, but I'm speculating that we might see even more dramatic improvements with the DirectX 11 CPU or GPU core that is built into them. So thank you for checking out this episode of NCIX Tech Tips on MSI Z77 offering as well as OC Genie 2, and don't forget to subscribe.